Hi everyone, this is OG Star Wars, your Legends girl, trying to make it in this discounted world, and I have another bit of news for you pertaining to the Rise of Skywalker Junior Novelization, and basically is why Rey could not sense the Jedi before the Rise of Skywalker. And the reason why I'm doing these pertaining to the Disney Star Wars or Disney Lucasfilm is that there's a lot of things that are like question their approach on where they're taking these stories when it comes to the original 6 movies. And so that's why the reason why I am covering these, because when you start questioning how come Luke didn't experience this, or why wasn't it like this for Luke or Anakin or whatever, if you start creating questions that cannot be answered for the sake of your character to be predominant, I guess you can say, you're creating plot holes, you're creating a lot of questions, you are breaking the lore, you're taking everybody out of the experience of the fantasy as well. So this article here is explaining to the Junior Novelization again. They are explaining away what does not make sense in their movie with their secondary material, which is basically they just, god damn it, it's disgusting. So basically, they if they can't write a good movie, and if they can't explain it right away in the movie for viewers to understand, the casual moviegoers to understand, then they have failed to give us a good story. So that's what I was trying to say. I'm a bit frustrated with this, but let's go ahead and take a look. Okay. All right, so Star Wars, why Rey can't sense the Jedi before Rise of Skywalker. And again, this gives us a lot of question, because if you have seen the movie, you're questioning where were they for Luke when he was defeating or trying to defeat the Emperor and battling Vader? Where were Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and Yoda for Luke during this time, during his hero's journey, during his path along the OT to get where he's at? Where were they for him? All right. So we're going to go through this a little bit more, and you're going to be surprised with what you're going to hear, or what you're going to hear from me reading this article. Star Wars has simply explained why Rey couldn't sense the old Jedi before Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. The early scenes of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker are among the most curious in the entire film. Rey has been training as a Jedi under Leia Organa. And again, this goes against their own continuity, because in Bloodline Novelization, she refuses to train, and she refuses to train from Luke. He does show her how to tune in with the Force a little bit, but she refuses to go in through full training. She never constructs her lightsabers. So with that being said, just go ahead and listen to what I have to read here. Who has encouraged her, has been training as a Jedi under Leia Organa, who has encouraged her to use the Force to hear what the voices of the Jedi who had come before her. For some reason, though, the Jedi are absolutely silent. Okay, so let's go on. Ray Carson's novelization, The Rise of Skywalker, unwittingly made their silence seem far stranger. Of course she did. Carson revealed the Force ghost had been training Leia for years. And there you go. So she refuses training from Luke, but then she decides to train through the Force ghosts. She had occasionally heard the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and even more rarely Master Yoda himself. After his death in Star Wars: The Last Jedi, Luke's Force ghost has been appearing to her to guide her too. Although Leia had been stubbornly refusing to heed his advice that the time had come for her to become one with the Force. So this is where it's strange. Since when did Force ghosts, and correct me if I'm wrong, since when did Force ghosts go and say, hey, it's your time to come and be one with the Force? Since when did they come summon you like a Reaper? So why didn't the Force ghosts manifest to Rey? So let's get into this. The junior novelization of Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, implicitly, I can't read today, offers an answer. It draws a subtle parallel between Palpatine's seduction to Anakin Skywalker. Oh, Lord, here we go. In the prequel trilogy, with this attempt to draw Rey to the dark side, the Emperor is the one responsible for casting dark dreams and dark visions in her mind. She still had the other dreams, however, in quotations, the book notes, and those were more like waking nightmares. She's a walking nightmare. They showed her dark places she did not know. It sounds like we're getting into porn. Strange figures she did not recognize, and ominous events she did not understand. Okay, so first of all, it is established that Rey is a Palpatine. And so a little bit this makes sense, but this is not parallel to Anakin because she is not a chosen one and she's not a person made by the Force. She is a product of a clone. So there's a huge difference in this right here. No comparisons whatsoever to the two. Palpatine's goal appears to have been to wear down Rey's will, to persuade her as that she is destined to fall to the dark side. She came within her a hair's breadth of success. Or he came in, I don't know, he came into a hair's breadth of success. And so we have the dark Rey right here. So that, I think maybe that would have been kind of cool to see a Palpatine, embrace the dark side, since that was what Palpatine did, like his own descendant. So that would have been maybe something interesting to watch, and then have a Palpatine and another Skywalker duel it out maybe or something, and that would have been Ben Solo. So, but hey, we got what we got. This is what we're dealing with now. Sorry to say, the implicity suggests another parallel between the prequels and the Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. At the beginning of the Clone Wars, Darth Sidious somehow used the dark side to weaken the Jedi. So basically at the beginning of, Attack of the Clone, we hear that, and we also hear that in Revenge of the Sith, I believe. Our ability to use the Force has been diminished, Mace Windu observed in Star Wars Episode 2. Yep, correct. The technique has never been explained, but in the old expanded universe, so that's the original lore, it was compared to a veil Palpatine had somehow set up. Yes, so basically he veiled, or he clouded the Jedi so that they could not see him coming. And so by doing that, they felt that they were weakening in the Force, but it wasn't necessarily that. They were just being, clouded by the dark side to see what's coming before them. And that's Sidious. Blocking the Jedi from accessing the Force for wisdom and insight. Presumably, he did something similar to Rey in order to ensure she could not access any source of light and hope. First of all, she was embodiment of the hope. She just got along and did everything so damn easy, used the Force so easy, all of that. Indeed, her mounting frustration was the Jedi of the old would have possibly pleased him because it had the potential to hasten her fall. This perfectly aligns with the overarching narrative of Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. Luke Skywalker only appeared to Rey when she was on the planet Ahch-To, a world rich in the light side of the Force, where Palpatine would have struggled to hold a veil in place. Well, he held that veil in place amongst all the Jedi from the Jedi Order and throughout the galaxy, so why would that matter? He's supposed to be one of the strongest dark side Sith ever in that time frame. So why would that be, impossible for him to hold? Furthermore, in the third act, Palpatine forgets about Rey after he had drawn the power of the Force, dyad, to himself. He considered her no longer worthy of his notice. The veil was lifted, and the Jedi of the old were able to speak to Rey at last. Oh Lord, here we go. offering her the words of wisdom and encouragement she needed to hear. And so Rey rose to her feet again and confronted the Emperor, who had thought she was defeated. And I am all the Jedi. That's so cringy. Rey told him as she advanced in spite of the storm, the force lightning. Okay, so she says she's all the Jedi, and he says he's all the Sith. And Sith are supposed to be presumably more powerful because it's an easy way of using the Force, right? So that still does not make sense. He should be able to still defeat her if he is embodying all the Sith. And perhaps at the moment, just before she was consumed by the dark side energy blast back at him, Palpatine realized his mistake. Dun, dun, dun. And that's the end of that. And this was given to us by Thomas Bacon. And so this is what the Junior Novelization is doing as well, is, trying to patch up all the plot holes. So we not only have the regular novelization of Rise of Skywalker doing it, but we also have the Junior Novelization as well. And this doesn't make sense. And so now I'm going to point these little issues out right now from this. So if Rey was clouded and she could not see the other Jedi when Leia was training her, then if Leia was training Rey, then how could she have be able to assess the light side and train if there was if he was clouding her as well? And then back on Octu, Palpatine, like I said, should have been able to still reach her because of the fact that he was, he could cloud the Jedi of the prequel trilogy era. That also even reached out through the galaxy as well. So that does not make sense. And then on top of that, where were the Jedi for Luke Skywalker when he was going through his transformation and becoming a Jedi and needed that assistance from those Jedi who were possessing Rey? Couldn't he have used that guidance as well to help him, destroy Palpatine, so he wouldn't have came back whatsoever? Wouldn't that, or even in Empire Strikes Back or any of that along the way, where were they for Luke? Where were they for the past Jedi in the prequel trilogy? If this was something they can do now as Force ghosts, where's Qui-Gon? Where are the Force ghosts from the other Jedi that may have learned it centuries past Qui-Gon? Because if you look into the lore, this was something that was known by the Jedi and then forgotten. So where are those Jedi from the past pre-prequel trilogy, era? Where are they to help assist the Jedi from being overclouded and stuff by Palpatine? So this does not make sense at all. And again, it creates more questions than it does patch things up. So I just thought I'd share my opinion about this and kind of dissect this a little bit, give my opinion from what I know with the lore, as well as offer these questions out. Where were they for Luke, Anakin, other Jedi? All they're doing is creating more questions, even though they are presumably cleaning things up, explaining this through their explained universe. So again, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share. That helps out the channel. Please check out my merch on Redbubble. Every purchase helps. Every subscribe and even comment helps out my channel as well and helps me out. And again, thank you for the continued support. May the Force be with you, and you guys have a great day.